I think we're recording. We are recording. Yes, we are. All right.
Kyle, we're
What's up,
recording.
everybody? Yeah, we are recording. Now stop talking so I can do the intro.
Okay.
All right. What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of the No Sauce Podcast with Kyle and John. Yeah, we are back. We haven't recorded an episode since July 31st. So it's been a few months. John has been busy. I've been busy. Life has been busy. And we've just basically been lazy and not recording.
We suck.
So let's just be real with that. We do suck. Yeah. It's
Yep.
pretty much one of those things. So we're back. Season 3, episode 1. Season 4. Season
Jeez,
4,
Kyle.
episode 1. I'm losing my mind right now as we record this podcast episode late on a Monday night. Monday night, when there's a football game going, the Chargers are now up 10-3 over the Las Vegas Raiders. It's over on ESPN. So we are going to sit here and talk. There's been some action lately. One of the topics that we wanted to discuss was what happened this past Wednesday in Orem, Utah. Obviously, it's been news that has kind of hit close to home here in the state of Utah, and especially in Utah County and at Utah Valley University, where both John and I went to school. What year did you graduate from UVU? Oh, you don't even remember.
It would have been 13, 13, something like that.
Okay,
I
you
think it was.
graduated.
I think I wrapped up in the winter of 2012, but yeah, something like that.
Nice. So, and I graduated in 2017. So, yeah, the shooting. I guess we call it an assassination because that's basically what's been playing in the media and the way it was. Charlie Kirk happened in the courtyard at Utah Valley University, and I think both John and I are of the kind of the same opinion on this in a sense. There's other feelings involved, but I think it wasn't necessarily who was shot and killed. It was where they were shot and killed. I mean, this is Utah Valley University. This is like my school. I bleed green. I cover the Wolverines. I'm at their sporting events and I follow their teams, and that's where I went to school. I've been in that courtroom. I've been in the LOSI building, for classes, and for that to happen in our backyard at our school, that I think impacted me more than who was shot. And I'm not I how do I word this? I didn't always agree with Charlie Kirk, but I did also agree with him a lot on what he, debated and what he put forward. And he was vocal. He didn't hide behind anything, with his thoughts, with his beliefs. He put it out there, and he was very vulnerable in that regard. I think I heard there was like 3 things, that he really, I don't want to say fought against, but like he was vocal about it. And I think it was like God, his faith, and something. I think it was politics, right? Like he spoke out about things, and so that hurts too, because people followed him and they stood behind him because he was kind of their voice for those younger conservatives that were a little fearful of speaking out. And what's bad is it's going to be even more. There's going to be a little bit more fear in a sense of speaking out because of what happened. But again, it comes back to where it happened for me. And, that night we played softball that Wednesday night, even though they had campus, shut down right across I-15. We played softball that night, and I think everybody was kind of, I don't want to say, I don't know what the word is, just kind of
numb.
Yeah, another word I'm looking for.
Somber.
Somber, I think, is the word, just because of, like you said, where it happened. Like Utah County, like that stuff doesn't happen. An assassination doesn't happen
Mhm.
in this county, let alone this state, right? Like, sure, there's people that have gotten killed in the state, but like, just somebody that was targeted like that, and they still haven't like confirmed if it's politically motivated, but the fact that there were signatures, that they didn't want Charlie Kirk to come to Utah Valley University, right? There were signatures, 6,800 signatures on a petition at
Mhm.
Utah State University. So people didn't want to come, because they don't like Charlie Kirk.
Yep.
But yeah, just to hit home, to realize this can happen anywhere, even if you think it's one of the most, I want to say, most peaceful and less violent places in the country. Now it's like, okay, this is real. Like,
Well,
there's concern.
isn't there a? I think there's like I don't know what you call it, like a city monument thing. It's like you're coming up the hill from the freeway that's like Orem, Family City, USA, and
Uh,
I don't know. For me, I mean, certainly everything kind of was impacted, right? Like who it was, where it happened. I'm watching images of campus that I walked on that I spent a lot of time at even outside of just school. A hospital where he was taken and ultimately pronounced dead. Was right across the street from where we used to live, and my kids, my two oldest were born there, and yeah, I mean, it's just that stuff doesn't happen in Orem, Utah. There's of course like gang stuff because that's all over. But this isn't West Valley, Utah. This isn't Compton. This isn't like this is Orem, Utah, where you know new yeah, freshmen at BYU are called Zubies. Like it's soda capital USA. You know,
yeah,
I don't know. It was very eye opening, and for me, it just is really reflective of where we're at as a society, not just in the United States, but in the world,
yeah,
where not to get religious and whatnot, but like time, sign of the times where the world's going to get worse and worse and worse until ultimately it gets better.
yeah,
For those that believe in the second coming of Christ and all that, and I just didn't think that it would be in my backyard.
yeah,
Like I knew that there would be wars and rumors of wars and all that kind of stuff, but to like get emails about from my kids' schools and school district about it, and that hey had nothing, no ties to the local schools and everybody's okay, and it just yeah it hit home, and it's for lack of better terms it was a terrorist attack, because it's changing
yeah,
the way that we live, the way that we operate, the way that we think. um and whether it's admitted or not, it's certainly idealized or ideology charged. Whether you want to call it politically charged or whatever, ideology, people with different ideas, and that we can't, as a society, simply have a conversation, whether you agree with somebody or not, is ridiculous. We look at it
yeah,
all day, every day on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, where you can't make a post. Like I fear, especially being a white male, making comments about things going on in the world because I'm going to be attacked. I'm going to be canceled. I'm going to have my job put in danger.
yeah,
But when it comes down to it, for me, it's how can we, how have we come so far as a society to not respect and love each other, or have at least enough respect for each other that, you know, somebody else is a person, child of God, and is worthy of, you know, having patience and respect for. I think the best
yeah,
way that I've had it, put or summarized is to show love and grace. Whether you believe somebody or not, to have enough love and grace to allow them to be themselves, unless it's affecting you, unless it's hurting you or attacking you or your freedoms. Violence is never the answer, and that unfortunately is a society that we are living in right now, where people think, I'm not going to listen to you, I'm just going to shut you up. And yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah,
Difficult, Kyle.
I mean, I think it's interesting, that whole love concept. People think that if you don't support everything that they do or believe, that you
You're
can't
against them.
love them. It's
Mhm.
like, I'm not against you. I have a differing belief on things. That doesn't
Mhm.
make you a bad person. It doesn't make me a better person. It just makes us different, and that's life. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay to be different. You want to believe certain things, that's fine. Go ahead. But if you can respect the fact that I don't believe that same way, then I can respect the fact that you have those beliefs.
Mhm.
I mean, I have, I I'll put it out there. My I don't know if she's called it second cousin or something, but somebody in my family, it was months ago. I posted something or I commented. She commented on one of my posts and compared, the the camps where they held, the
Concentration
illegal
camps.
detainees to concentration
Oh, yeah,
camp.
yeah.
Blame the what was going on, with that American Airlines flight that got hit by a helicopter, on President Trump and his
Mhm.
letting go of the FAA. All this stuff that it's like, this is all stuff you hear from conspiracy people or people that are against the administration on TikTok or social media, and
Yep.
I commented on it, just like, how do you compare a camp for illegal immigrants, where they're trying to process all these people and give them their due process under the constraints of the law, to something that killed 3 million Jews and 3 million people or more, 3 million plus people, just because they had differing beliefs like that you can't even compare that, and I did it in a
Mhm.
respectful tone. And, I talked about the FAA stuff and said, hey, how can you say that when he's barely been in office? And this was a helicopter error where they flew in the direct line of the flight path, like,
Mhm.
or the airplane coming off in Philadelphia, the medical airplane that crashed. It's like, you don't know what happened. We haven't had any details put out, but you go straight to blaming a person that you hate because of it.
Yeah.
And I said it in a respectful tone. And, one of my other friends, she came back and, said because I was a cis, straight white male, that I wouldn't fully understand this or that. And, it's like, why do you personally attack me? I didn't personally attack you. I raised questions. I pointed out some flaws in your comment.
Were they
Um,
honest questions?
I didn't ask any honest questions. Oh, yeah, they were, I guess. It was basically, how can
Mm.
you do that? And, somebody else commented, in kind of defense of me, and they took it, not my friend that commented, in defense of my comment, but this family member and their extended family took it personally, like I
Yeah.
was attacking them. And then they, I'm sure they unfriended me. I know the girl's mom unfriended me on Facebook, and even though we've been to family gatherings plenty of times, we were just at a family gathering last year, like a year ago. Um, and I just, that's what's sad, is it's like, if you're going to put something out there, you have to expect that you're going to get something in return, and
Yeah.
you don't have to attack personally. Just be respectful. Like, there's going to be different views, and I don't know. That's my biggest thing. Is it's
Yeah.
like, I went and played softball. We played softball with guys that aren't of our faith or whatever,
Yeah.
but we can play softball together. We could be friends because they respect what we believe,
Yep.
and we don't judge them for what they do. I mean, we may judge them as a laughing thing, and make fun of them, and they may make fun of us. I mean, TikTok today, some of the mic'd up stuff. One of the guys from the team this weekend, said, pointing to us Utah guys, he's like, they're from the Holy Land. They're from the Holy Land. So, but that's the thing. They don't care. Like, one of the comments after we were done playing, when we were talking about playing, is he's like, Kyle, you may have to go to the temple and get cleansed, from everything that you had to hear and see and everything this weekend. And it's like, but that's okay. I laugh at that, right? That's
Yeah.
the thing. I think we're too sensitive as a society I don't know where that came from, but I think the other thing is Pitbull had a great phrase. What did he say? Something that I'll have to look it up, but it was something like fear is like the greatest it's right before his "We Will Win" song. Like, he says it as he's getting ready to uh
Trying to look it
I'm
up.
trying to yeah, it I can't see the lyrics.
I don't
You
know.
know,
He's got some good ones.
what spreads faster than any virus is fear.
Mm.
And then he said, when it comes to fear, you can either forget everything and run, or you can face everything and rise.
I was gonna say chlamydia, but that sounds better.
Our society tends to face everything and run, right? Or
Yeah.
scream foul, or throw out the racist card or the fascist card if you don't agree with it. Like, it's
Well, I love how half the time, Kyle, like people throw out words, and we probably do it too. So
yeah.
again, not gonna,
We're
you
not
know,
perfect. Yeah,
not
not even
perfect,
close.
but like sometimes people throw out words and phrases they don't even know what it really means.
I know.
And
That was the fun thing about watching Charlie Kirk debate some of those college students is,
mhm.
like, they throw out something that they had heard or seen on the media or whatever, and he would come back and ask them, like, what is this? What is, um, and they could never answer because they had no clue.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
I urge anybody that is paying attention to this, all five of you that watch our podcast or listen to it and whatnot. Um, I think the challenge just goes out there that, try to have more compassion to people,
yeah,
regardless of, whether you believe in what they're saying, what they believe. Uh, Everybody's a human. Everybody is trying to live life, and um, when it comes down to it, if people can show a little more love, compassion, and respect for each other, just imagine how much different this world would be.
yeah.
You know, um,
I agree.
it's an amazing, amazing thing. Amazing impact that each of us can make if we just, set that example and be a little more, for lack of better terms, Christ-like to each other. Have
Yeah,
some respect, and that's. I would urge our three listeners. I know it's now gone down from 5 to 3. Um, you know, if we learn anything, and I hope that no major war or whatever comes from any of the stuff that's gone on. I know that our world is getting there to where something like this
yeah,
could trigger something, but what I ultimately hope that it triggers, and I think this is what Charlie would want, himself, is that it triggers people to look inward and find a little more compassion for
yeah,
people, and have a conversation. It's okay to believe what you believe, um, but share your beliefs in a respectful manner. And if you can't do that, keep your beliefs to yourself. You know,
yeah, yeah,
and that's my hope. I mean, Kyle, I know you and I see eye to eye on a lot of things. A number of other things we don't. Like, I couldn't be caught dead in a that hat. I'm just kidding. I actually don't mind the Cubs. Um, but like deep dish pizza, it's gonna get me canceled, is horrible. It's lasagna with a crappy crust.
all right,
You've
whatever
heard it
you
here
say.
first. New York style is the best, plain and simple. But yeah, again, just have some, you know, have some passion towards each other, and maybe, open your circles back up to people that maybe don't think the same as you. Maybe they challenge you on your thoughts that can help better round off, your beliefs and what you practice. Or maybe you open it up and you learn that, hey, maybe you're wrong, or maybe you could do something better. That's my hope coming out of all this. So
Yeah. Well, I think my thing is you don't have to force your beliefs on me, and I'm not going
yep.
to force my beliefs on you. I'll stand up for what I believe in, and as I know, somebody else will stand up for what they believe in. I hope they do, but I also hope that just because I don't believe the same way as them, or I don't see eye to eye with them on everything like they want me to, that they can realize that doesn't make him a bad person, or it doesn't make him, a hater or anything else. It just makes us different.
hmm
We view the world in a different lens, view certain things in a different lens, but we can still be respectful. And that's my take. Force don't try to force me to believe something, because that's going to make me push back even harder. It's going to make me completely lose any respect I have for you to begin with.
hmm
Right. And so that's my thing. Don't force
yep.
things.
Yep. I mean, it's
You
just
want to
like,
believe it. Yeah.
it's just like, you and I, like we belong to a church that actively goes out and has missionary work and whatnot. And I think one of the biggest things that, you've done a good job at, is in playing softball, is setting an example of, you know, somebody that lives a good life, can have fun. Um, you know, you can't hit opposite field, but you can do a lot of other things.
Shut up. I did. I did this weekend. Leave me alone. I did it one time, actually. That was it. So,
The rollover king, Kyle. Um, no, but it's been coming up on a week, and it's sad, but
yeah.
I think a lot of good will come from this. I hope people look a little more inward and kind of make some changes.
Yeah.
That's my hope. That's my hope. So
Yeah. Same here. Same
just
here.
tone, just want people to tone down the rhetoric and the hateful comments towards each other, and you know, there's bigger things, bigger fish to fry.
Well, and that's the
So
problem, is the rhetoric's not going to change on either side, and that's the sad part, is nobody's willing to change their stance or even come together. That's what makes me sad when a lot of these things happen. Not just the one at UVU, but anytime. There was a shooting in Denver, that Denver school, the same day, as Charlie Kirk that
mhm,
afternoon, and you know, nobody condones gun violence, none at all. Nobody. Like, if you do, then you're a sad person. Like, I don't know why you would condone it, because it never ends well, right? And other shootings have happened. I know that people have pointed that out since this Charlie Kirk incident. Nobody condones it. Like, everybody hates it. But there
yeah,
are certain rights that are protected by the Constitution that you really shouldn't change. Like has been said, you have to be able to defend yourself in situations where something happens, right? And so if you take away certain rights that they're talking about, well, how are people going to protect themselves so that things, and it's funny, somebody pointed out that, you know, shootings don't happen on planes or at airports, shootings don't happen at sporting events, shootings don't happen other places. And why? Because they all have armed guards somewhere there, right? They're all, I don't know, and schools are
mhm,
the only place that really don't have them. So maybe it's time to take an inward look at what we have in place to protect people in those situations, right? But yeah, I think that's the tough thing, is you got all this rhetoric on both sides. They did this, they did that, they did this, they did that. Instead of coming together and being like, what can we do? What changes can we make that, one, won't take away those rights protected by the Constitution, but will also make people feel safer in their own backyard, or that will benefit the American people? Because I feel like, and I might get scorned for this for people that listen or when we post a short about it, politicians only give a dang about themselves and getting richer by the hour, um, and not abiding by the laws that we as citizens of this country have to abide by. Plain and simple. Because
Yep.
I'm going on a rant here, but I see all these shorts of congressional hearings and so forth and so on, but nothing ever comes of it. There are no arrests made. There are no firings of CEOs. There are no nothing. It's just all talk, all blabble. Like, is something going to happen out of these congressional hearings, or all these conspiracies just going to keep going true? That these people are just in the deep swamp. They don't care. They just get their money. They have insider trading. That's why Nancy Pelosi is her
Yeah.
portfolio is worth over $100 million, even though she's been in Congress all her career. It's just like there's nothing being done to help the American people, even though both parties think they are. And sometimes there's a little bit here and there, but let's be real. They don't give a dang about their constituents or the people of this country any more than I give a dang whether or not I win every softball tournament, right? Which I know I never will, so it's not really that big of a concern. I just like to play. So it's
Yeah.
just that's what's frustrating. Both parties are nagging at each other. Well, they did this, they did that. They're blaming each other for this, that, or the other. I mean, tonight I saw a video. Elizabeth Warren. Somebody asked her if she's going to change her rhetoric, to be a little bit more sympathetic to Charlie Kirk's thing and on violence and all this stuff. And her response was, "Oh, give me a break.
Yeah.
First thing
I
you
saw
do is
that.
take a look at your own president." It's like that's not what they asked, and you didn't give a response saying that you didn't condone the violence. So what does that tell us? Like
Yeah.
that's what it's so petty what's going on in Washington D.C. and it trickles out to everywhere else, and that's why we are where we are right now. Like that's our leaders have not taken it upon themselves to look after their constituents and what's best for them. Rather, they've been looking out for their own personal agendas and rhetoric. That's my rant. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. It's been a pleasure.
I didn't want to interrupt you. It's constituents, right? Not
Constituent,
constituents.
whatever, constituents. I said it wrong. Constituents.
Clip
I'll
it.
stick with it.
Clip it.
So, constituent.
Constituents.
Wow, that's
Constituents.
great. Yeah,
Constituents,
yeah.
buddy.
Good catch. Good catch.
Hey, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, when it comes down to it, I I I think there are some people out there that start off because they want to make a change, they want to do something good, but when you get into it and they start feeding you money, you get these lobbyists and stuff that are, you know, paying you to fight for certain things.
yeah,
Why would you give that up?
yep.
And
Oh, I agree. I agree.
um, you
It's
know,
just sad. We have term limits for the most powerful and influential position in the world, but we
hmm
don't have term limits for those that make the laws and confirm federal jobs, especially on the Supreme Court and other places. It's like but again, there's that thing you said, lobbyists, and they get to line the pockets of the politicians, so the
that's where
politicians
the
get
money's at.
rich.
hmm
And why would they make a law that prohibits them from continuing to get rich when they have that power? So,
Yep.
yeah, we didn't want to turn this into a political episode. We did not, but
Well,
it has become one. We are sorry. That's not what we wanted.
yeah, kind of is what it
We didn't
is.
want to talk about constituents and politicians and everything else. So let's talk about something fun. John sucks. He's going to Chicago, but the good news is the Cubs aren't in town, so he doesn't get to go to the Wrigley without me. So bonus right there for me.
Yeah.
Even though
Well,
I'm
it doesn't
jealous
mean
you're
like
going to
I
Chicago.
can still go to Wrigley. I just
I
can't
mean,
go
you
inside.
can, but it's not as electric when it's not a Cub when the Cubs aren't playing there.
Yeah, electric.
Oh, it's electric.
You know
It's
what?
electric.
Here's the thing. I yeah, I want to get to a baseball game. I have not gone to one like a professional one. I've spent a lot of time on Little League fields this year, but not very much, if any, time in professional arenas this year. So, which That's,
Well, you
you
got
know,
hockey starting up here soon, a month,
I
month and
was
a
I
half.
was gonna say, yeah, that's one of the good things that's starting up is little Utah Mammoth hockey. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm going to opening night against the Flames. I think I got our next home game, against the Avalanche. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be. It's just.
How many
It's a
pucks
hoot.
do you have left over from that first season?
So
I can't see it, so you're just gonna have to count
yeah.
it.
So over here where you can't see, I've got in the bookcase every single one of the game match pucks, which there's 41 matches. Plus, they gave out an additional like free inaugural game puck at the first one, and then I've got two kind of game pucks. One of them was from the opening night, so it's branded inaugural game, and then there's inaugural season pucks. So I've got both of those. I've got a plethora of like warm up pucks, probably about 15 to 20. Then, and my kids have some as well. I've also got goal pucks from when we played in Seattle, in Calgary, a couple goal pucks from, you know, uh, home games. So it's great. I do have a complete set over here. You can't see it. An extra complete set of the matchup pucks. So um, there's a good part of me that wants to like hold on to those and keep them for my
You are an
kids.
addict,
So when
Lifer.
they're
You are
older, it's again the first season. It was
the
something
one
cool to
the
be a
ones that
part
you
of.
have, with the matchup pucks, I get, but the rest of it, geez Louise, dude, you need one puck. It's hockey. They're
No,
the same pucks.
they are not the same, Kyle.
Those that you're looking at, I know those matchup ones aren't. I'm saying the other ones that you have, the goal pucks and all this other stuff, the warm-up pucks, those are
Yeah,
the same pucks.
they're not the same pucks.
You're a
They're
puck
not.
addict.
No, they're not this. They're literally not the
That's what
game.
I'm
Like
calling you, puck addict. My
the
puck
goal
addict
pucks.
friend, John Barker.
Kyle, Kyle, please,
See, we can
please
still be
don't
friends, and we
don't
disagree
be a
on
far,
this.
don't be a far leftist. Let me talk. Okay, give me some respect. They're not the
Oh,
same. The warm up pucks actually show both teams on the puck, and my son, my 9-year-old, he has probably the coolest one from the Capitals game when Ovechkin was here. He scored 2 goals. It was also the game that he got injured and was out for like a month and a half. And he got to be the Zamboni, one of the Zamboni people, kids, whatever. Um, and so we got to be down like while they're warming up, and we got to see Ovechkin right there at the glass. And we got a puck from their warm up, so more than likely, Ovechkin had shot or like handled that puck, and so he's got that one. So it's cool. It's cool, Kyle.
nice.
So yeah, they are the
Fine.
same,
Yeah,
but they're not the
that's
same.
cool. I'm still gonna call you puck addict. Puck
You know.
addict. So
Yeah.
cool.
But yeah, so
Good.
that starts up. BYU football. Okay, hold
Yeah.
on. Here's a okay. How college football? How can you be 0-2 and still be ranked in the top 25? Can you please explain that to me?
Yeah, I can.
I'm not
Uh,
going to sit here and give like a whole spiel as to why BYU shouldn't be ranked, like why they should be ranked. I'm just saying you have an 0-2 overrated Notre Dame team that
are
has
they
not won a
overrated though?
game.
Are
100%.
they overrated? Why are they overrated?
100%. Kyle, if you can't get
Because
the
they went
job
0 and
done,
2 against, if I remember right, they lost at Miami and they lost to a ranked Texas A&M team in overtime.
I don't care. Here's the thing, Kyle. The season is long. Through 2 weeks
Right, and
of the
Notre Dame
season,
still has a chance to get to the playoff, even with those
I,
2 losses.
I understand it, but when you're ranking the top 25 teams and you
Who
have
would you
teams
put
that are
above them?
anybody that has at least 2 to 3 wins at this point, anybody, make them force their way back into the top 25 by winning some games. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Like it's just like the BCS rankings. It's not set in stone, but we're here at week 3. Right now, Notre Dame is not a top 25 team. They haven't won a game. Kick them
But
out.
I still think they are, because they played their 2 toughest games of the season by far, and they're going to go 10-2 with the schedule that they have left. So
Potentially. So then there's plenty of room for them to work themselves back into the system.
I have no problem with Notre Dame being there. I'm not going to put a 2-0 BYU team who beat a worthless
I didn't
Portland
say
State
that.
team,
I didn't
and
say that.
Stanford is not good. I know. I'm just saying, like, there's not many 2-0 teams I'd put ahead of Notre Dame, because I know Notre Dame would kick the crap out of them. So, yeah, that's my problem. So,
But like
if
here's the
South
thing.
Carolina dropped out, because their quarterback is gone, like he's out for whatever, which makes sense. South
Clemson
Florida
deserved to
dropped
drop
out.
out.
South Florida has 2 top 25 wins, right? And they beat
Why
Florida
wouldn't they,
in the swamp. Why wouldn't they
and
be
why wouldn't
ranked?
they be in?
Because they know that Notre Dame is a better team than South Florida. That's the thing, and plus it's where Notre Dame started, and that helps.
That's the problem, Kyle. That's the problem. Is that the argument I'm making is the same argument that these people that issue their rankings give to teams like BYU or like a South Florida or like any of those people. Is that, oh, you've got the rest of the season to work your way up. But no,
So
hold,
South Florida?
Kyle. No, let me finish. Here's
Okay,
the
you
thing:
finish.
is you have Notre Dame, because they are a big name, is going to be given the benefit of the doubt over any other team out there. Okay, make them work their way up. But because, like you just said, because they were previously ranked preseason high, they should be given the ability to have a shitty start to their season and it be okay.
I don't think people are saying it's a shitty start. Going 0-2 against what they played in those 2
Kyle, I think
games
I lost you.
isn't shitty. They lost by 3 at Miami. They lost by 1
Doesn't
to
matter.
Texas A&M, who
Loss
16.
Loss is a loss. They don't have any wins in the win column
No, you
to
cannot
justify
say
a
a loss
ranking.
is a loss. They didn't have
Yes,
a
a loss
bad
is a
loss.
loss.
That's the way that people are looking at it. They did not have a bad loss. Plain and simple. If they
A
would have
loss
lost
is
to
a
an
loss, Kyle.
unranked team in either one of those 2 games, they probably wouldn't be in the top 25. But because of who they lost to, that's why they're still in the top 25, period.
But again, because they're given the benefit of the doubt.
No, it's not because of that. It's because of who they
100%.
played.
You
If they
cannot
would have
sit here and
played and
tell me.
lost at home to an unranked opponent, they would not be in the top 25. But
No,
because they lost to a Texas A&M team that was ranked in overtime, that's why they're not out of the top 25.
no,
Plain and simple.
Kyle, you cannot sit here and tell me
Oh, I
that
can, and
if
I'm going to, because that's the way that the voters see it. It's who they lost to and how they lost is the reason
okay,
why they're still in the top 25.
you cannot tell me that if USF had lost by 3 to Miami, that they wouldn't have still fallen out.
I bet they would, but they got beat by 37 points. So
I
yeah,
know,
that's why they dropped out.
but I'm saying they only beat Florida by 2, but they crushed Boise State. Crushed them.
Okay.
But
And Boise State
had they
Boise State
lost
went
by
up
3 to
as soon as they
Miami,
lost.
had they lost by 3 to Miami, Kyle, they would still be out of the top 25.
No, they
Because
wouldn't be.
again, Notre Dame and those types of schools, the SEC, they are gifted whatever they want.
South Florida would
Because
not be out of the rankings if they lost by 3 to Miami. No way,
they
chance.
100% would
No,
have. 100% would
no,
have. Yes.
because they had
Mark
beat
my
a
words.
ranked Boise State team. They went on the road and beat a ranked SEC team, and then they lose by 3 to the number, 6 team in the nation or 5 team. Yeah, no, they wouldn't have been out of the rankings, because people would have then said,
100%.
okay, this team is legit.
No,
You can
100%.
go on about it. You're
100%.
not changing my mind, because Notre Dame, because of who they lost to, that's why they're still in the top 25. And because of what they
Look
have
at
coming
past
ahead
years,
of them
Kyle.
in their schedule, yeah,
Look
it's
at
not
past
happening.
years. Notre Dame has been gifted so much. They've had bad losses. Alabama has had bad losses. Ohio State has had bad losses. Any of those major programs have had bad losses, but they're still
Who has
gifted
Ohio State
extra.
had a bad loss to that has
I'll have to
dropped
go
them
back
out
and
of the
look.
top 25?
No, they haven't. That's the
What
problem. They've
team that
had
was
bad losses
gifted
and they've
enough to be
stayed.
at home but they still made the playoff and won the national championship because they didn't call the game the way they should have by throwing the football. So, like, you
Then what does
can't
that
just look at
matter?
wins and losses here in the
You had a bad
rankings.
loss. You had a bad loss. Why aren't they affected as much as any of these
They
other
were.
teams?
They didn't get to play for a Big Ten championship.
Yeah, but then they still made it to the playoff and still were able to play for a national championship.
Right, because they're in the top 15.
Where's the real repercussion? There's not, because again, those guys are gifted that. They are, plain and simple. Kyle, you can't sit
No,
here
they
and
just
tell me
don't
that
lose
there's
to
not favoritism to the Big
unranked
Ten and the
teams
SEC.
at home. The only time, what?
You cannot sit there and tell me that there's not
You're going
favoritism
to tell me
shown.
that a 10-2 BYU team is better than a 10-2 Ohio State team last year?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying right now, a
No,
2-0
answer the
BYU.
Answer the question. 10-2 Ohio State is not better than 10-2 BYU last year because they lost to Michigan?
Oh, 10-2 Ohio State on a good day. Yes, they are a much better team.
Well,
Yes.
because they lost to Michigan so late, and if, let's say, BYU won its final game, whatever, let's say the game at Arizona State, you're saying that BYU probably should have been ranked ahead of Ohio State in that situation.
What I'm saying, Kyle, is that those are two separate programs that are treated differently. Because the losses weren't against a Big Ten team, they were against a Big 12 team. That's why BYU was left out.
An unranked Big 12 team at home.
Yeah, the Kansas, that was one loss.
That team
But
that
then we were
barely
knocked
got
out.
6 wins.
But then we were knocked out by the Big 12 champion, Arizona State. That's what kept us out of the college football playoff last year.
Yeah, it
Not
also
the
kept
loss to
Iowa
Kansas.
State out of the playoff too.
I get that. Again, but I'm saying is you have almost identical situations with an Ohio State and an Iowa State, but they're always if you're comparing the two, they're always going to give the nod to an SEC or Big Ten team or Notre Dame. Always. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Always.
Maybe win the games you're supposed to, and you don't win into that situation.
Notre Dame should win the games that they're supposed to, but nope,
Well,
they don't need to.
Did BYU play 2 top 15 teams to start the season?
You're
That's what I'm saying.
taking the conversation. No, you're
comparing
taking the
apples to
conversation to
oranges.
different say.
No, I'm
Again, I
not.
am
We're
not.
comparing apples to oranges here. We can go on
No,
about this all night. You're not going to change my mind. Who Notre
Kyle,
Dame plays?
I'm not advocating that BYU should be in the top 25.
I
I'm
know you're not.
advocating that a team that starts 0-2 has no
Nope.
reason to be on that list at all,
They sure do
regardless of
because
who you played.
they play. Yes, they do,
0-2.
especially when they started.
0-2.
Yep. And they
0-2.
led late at Miami too. So we can end
Doesn't
this
matter.
conversation right
0-2.
now because you're not changing my mind. So
You're not
yeah,
going to change my mind. And there's a
that's fine.
good chunk of America that knows that if you're Notre Dame, Big Ten, or SEC, they're going to kiss every single one of your orifices. They're going to give you every opportunity to be in the
Yeah.
limelight. But if you're Big 12 or anything
when my
else,
team plays and goes toe to toe with 2 top 15 teams in the country to start the season with a new quarterback, with whatever, I would expect that too, especially when I start in the top 10. Yep. Sorry. Plain and simple.
and that's horrible. That
Well,
right there is a
it is
system
what
that's
it
broken. You know,
is. I don't think so.
100%.
I mean,
Yeah, 100%.
the only
And
problem I have
I
with
will
Notre
say
Dame,
this.
the only problem I have with Notre Dame, regardless of this situation, is they should be in a conference just like every other football team in FBS football, because it is not fair that, like you said, they get all these chances to play different teams from different conferences that are possibly ranked. They get to set their own schedule. They don't have 9 conference games that they have to play, which is bogus. They should be in a conference, period. And because they're not in a conference, I think that should eliminate them from the college football playoff discussion, period. Like, there should not be any exceptions for Notre Dame to be in the college football playoff because of that situation right there, that they're not in a league.
Yeah. Yeah,
Why is it
I would tend
fair
to agree
that
with that.
everybody else has to play 3 non-league games, or 4 if you're I think it's the SEC right now, and then you have to run a gauntlet of 9 teams in your league, where could be a different style of football each week, and that schedule is set. Like, you have to go to these places and you're playing for a conference championship, which conference championships last year decided who the top 4 seeds were. I think they changed it this year because of all the outcry for, the Penn States and the Ohio States, and
The
this, that,
Big
or the
Ten and
other.
the SEC teams. Yep. Yep.
But I mean, those 2 teams deserved it. I'm not going to lie. They should have been the ones hosting the game, not going on the road. But that's another discussion for another day. But Notre Dame should have to abide by the standards. And that's the other thing. They've switched the rules now that Notre Dame doesn't have to be in a conference or win a conference championship to still be eligible for the college football playoff, which is the same for the BCS. They just had to be in the top whatever, and that's what's bogus to me out of all of this. I don't care about the rankings. I don't care about who's on 2 and still in the ranking, blah, blah, blah. It's Notre Dame gets into the college football playoff if they go 10-2 with what they have without winning a conference championship, because they have an exception given to them by whoever the committee is for not being in a league, which I think is trash.
Yeah. Again, the last statement, and I'll clarify and just keep it simplistic. Stop ranking teams based on hypotheticals. Notre Dame could go 10-2. They could be a top 10 team. But right now they're not. They are 0-2. Treat it that way. And maybe I am jaded on the ranking system because you have 2 teams that aren't treated fairly. You have a Utah who opens the season against a horrendous UCLA team and puts them away. While you have a BYU that starts against an FCS opponent, limits them to 51 total yards, doesn't allow any points, and Utah immediately gets ranked 25th. Okay, I was like, oh, that's fine. BYU's 26th. That's fine. Next week, BYU handles a Stanford team that is horrible, just almost as bad as UCLA. And Utah goes and does the same thing that BYU did the week before to an FCS opponent. BYU drops to 27th, and Utah jumps to 20th. How does that make sense? Make that make sense.
Road game. They beat UCLA. It's not, even though the Rose Bowl wasn't packed and it was UCLA's awful.
Dude, it might as well have been a high school stadium.
Big Ten school. Plain and simple.
Again, you're giving them the Big Ten accolades when they're not.
First off, I shouldn't have said the Big Ten because it's not about the Big Ten. They went on the road and won. They went on the road again to Wyoming and won. That's why they moved up. So, I get
that. But why the disparity?
Because
why such a large disparity?
At home. Utah went on the road. Had BYU gone on the road for one of their first 2 games, it would have been a different story. Bet it would have been.
That's the difference. We go to Stanford and beat them just as bad. You think we're actually ranked?
Yes.
No way. No chance. No chance.
Yes, because the voters take winning on the road in any college sport much bigger than winning at home.
Half the voters don't stay up and watch late games anyways, Kyle. They just look at names and they see
that BYU beat Stanford at the Farm, and BYU would be ranked that next Sunday.
I doubt it.
Hey, you can doubt me all you want. It's the same thing in basketball. Road wins count for so much more, regardless of who your opponent is, than a home win. And that's the way I think voters look at it. Utah went on the road and demolished UCLA. So,
pretty easy to beat an FCS team that plays in the Big Ten. Pretty easy.
Hey, I agree with you, but a road, that's the difference. You asked what the difference was. That's the one.
The problem is, Kyle, that's all they look at, though, is if you are right, if that's what gives Utah the nod, nobody's actually watching that game. They just look at the final score and they see, oh, Utah went to UCLA and beat them that bad. Oh, they're a fantastic team. They are. They look good this year.
I will say this. With Devin Dampier, I think Utah is better than what people think. I'm not going to lie.
I agree.
The new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, I think they could run the Big 12 this year, and I think we're going to get a good this matchup this weekend against Texas Tech at Rice Eccles. That's going to tell us the measuring stick of where the Utes are. But I've been telling people, watch out. As soon as Dampier signed from New Mexico and they brought on Jason Beck, who is a former BYU guy,
Yep.
who was under Bronco Mendenhall, at New Mexico. As soon as they brought those two guys on, I told people, watch for Utah. They're gonna do things this year because they finally have a quarterback and they finally have
It's
an
healthy.
OC who wants to spread things out and play. Like, he doesn't want to just be a handoff guy and run play action and all this other garbage. So
Yep.
I don't know. We'll see in November, in October when that game happens at LaVell Edwards Stadium. But rankings and all this other stuff are so subjective to the voters who vote on it. And I know there's a lot of voters that get grief for where they put people. I can't remember if it was I don't remember. It's just, it's all subjective. We can see what we want to see and rant about what we want to rant about with them, and just one of those things. Voters have to make up their mind, and like you said, sometimes they just look at a box score and say, "Oh, they did this, so we're going to keep them ranked, or we're going to rank them, at this point." And that's about it. Like you said, a lot of them don't stay up late to watch those West Coast games, and yeah. So
Okay. Well, BYU's got a road game this weekend.
at
If
East
they
Carolina,
win,
yep.
if they win, do you think they make it to 25th? I'm
I
willing to
would
bet they
think so.
don't. I'm willing to bet they don't.
Depends on how they win.
No,
I
if they win by
would
6, is that a bad loss or is that a bad win?
probably.
Or do they need
It's
to
not a
blow
bad.
them out by 30 or 40 to
I think
finally get ranked?
they're what? They're like 20.5-point favorites. Is that what I saw?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think if I remember right,
They are 7.5-point favorites.
okay, 7.5. They were 10.5 earlier. But that means money's coming in on East Carolina. So I think they have. I don't know. I don't know, John. I'm not going to answer that because I don't know. I don't know what the voters are thinking and how they look at East Carolina. That's Anyways, I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
You know
Just
who I'm
looking
rooting
up.
for this weekend, though?
Who's that?
Retzlaff. Let's go Tulane. Going up against 13-ranked Ole Miss. I think he ran for like 100 and something yards the other day, 4 touchdowns. Arguably probably his best collegiate game ever.
Yeah.
And they're 3-0, not ranked. Even though they beat Northwestern and Duke. Just saying.
Bad Northwestern and bad Duke. Be real about that.
But again, Utah beats a bad UCLA and a marginal Mountain West Wyoming. Just saying. The system's broken, Kyle. And you know it. You don't want to fully admit it because you're also a closet Purdue fan, but you know it.
I don't think the system's broken. I think the
It is
viewpoints.
so broken.
No, I think the viewpoints of those that vote for this is broken. And I think they need to get rid of the AP poll, even though they never will because it's been around for so long. And I think they need to have a coaches poll because coaches know more about this stuff than we do, right? Than the AP, right? And so that's my thing. I also think we shouldn't have preseason rankings because I think that skews the whole thing where, going back out on the limb, you say the hypotheticals. Oh, we assume this team's number 1, this team's number 2, this team, like, how was Notre Dame ranked number 6? What did you base that off of? They had to replace their quarterback. They had to replace other key pieces of a team that went to the, national championship game, right? And so you have to replace all that, but why are they still number 6? Just because they're Notre Dame? So, like, and I'm not just saying about Notre Dame. I'm saying about all teams. Like, Ohio State's starting a freshman quarterback. Arch Manning is in his first year as a true starter. We've seen what he's done. It still hasn't been impressive yet.
It's been horrible.
But
it's been horrible. And they're still, what, 7th or 8th?
It reminds me of baseball. It reminds me of baseball scouts where they look at potential more than they do, well, let's see what they do on the field, right? And that's my problem. Let's get rid of preseason rankings after week 1 or week 2. Then we can put out an official ranking, just like the college football playoff rankings. Why not just keep that we don't rank anybody until midway through October when people have played 5-6 games and we can see who's who and who's doing what. And then you have a better feel of who's supposed to be ranked where, right? But that'll never change because everybody likes the preseason hype. They like to talk about the rankings. They like to do this, that, and the other. It's never going to change. So we can rant about it all we want, but it's never going to change. Oh, good times. We've gone for 55 minutes on this episode, a long one. We've had some great discussions, great debates. We still love each other and respect each other.
We'll see.
But yeah, everybody, we appreciate you tuning into this No Sauce podcast with Kyle
Plenty
and
of
John.
sauce today. Plenty of sauce today.
I actually ate some salmon tonight. My brother-in-law went to Alaska, went fishing in Alaska, and brought some salmon back. And I wasn't going to eat it, but Heather gave me a little bite of hers after she cooked it or fried it, whatever. Oh, I'm not a big fish guy, but I tasted it, one bite, and then she gave me like half of it, and I ate that for dinner tonight. So I'm pretty proud of myself. I haven't had fish since I was, I don't even know how young I was last time I had fish. So
do fish sticks
pretty
count?
proud of myself. No, I haven't had fish sticks since I was.
What about goldfish?
So
like the
goldfish,
little crackers.
The goldfish crackers. Yeah. Oh yeah, I eat the goldfish crackers. But like true fish, like true salmon, yeah, no. So
any Swedish fish?
I eat Swedish fish. Those are good.
There you go.
So,
well, thanks everybody for joining in, listening to the No Sauce podcast with Kyle and John. His name's first because he could eat me. But thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, click that link below, click the thumb, comment, let us know how we're doing. If you want to be a celebrity guest, I was going to get there. If you want to be a guest speaker in here, maybe convince one of us that we're wrong, that the system is or isn't broken, let us know. We know it's broken. Kyle doesn't want to admit to it, but he knows. But yeah, again, click the subscribe button, listen to us, throw some topics you want us to talk about. We didn't even get to my my athletic achievements today. We'll save that for another one, but I can jump higher than Kyle by a lot. So thanks you all for joining in. John and Kyle, signing out.